HOA sent demolition crew to my lake house. They didn't expect the lawsuit waiting. The lake house was my sanctuary, a cedar-clad haven nestled against Lake Serenity's shimmering edge. I'd spent years restoring it, sanding every beam, planting wildflowers along the shore. It was where I grieved my wife, Lila, and where our daughter, Sophie, learned to skip stones. But to the Meadowview Homeowners Association, it was a violation. A visual blight, they called it, because my wildflower garden didn't match their manicured aesthetic. At the helm was Karen Whitaker, the HOA president with a vendetta sharper than her manicured nails. It started with letters. Polite at first, then venomous. Remove the non-compliant flora or face penalties, they read. I ignored them. The wildflowers were Lila's favorite bursts of lupin and daisies she'd planted before cancer took her. They weren't just plants. They were memories. Karen didn't care. She saw defiance, not grief. By spring, her notices turned to threats. Fines, liens, demolition. I hired a lawyer, Emma Tate, who warned me Karen's HOA had a history of bullying. They've got money and lawyers, Emma said. But we've got truth. The tension peaked on a crisp June morning. I was sipping coffee on my porch when a bulldozer roared up my gravel drive, flanked by a demolition crew in neon vests. Karen stood at the forefront, clipboard in hand, her face a mask of smug authority. Sophie, now 16, clutched my arm, her eyes wide with fear. Dad, they can't do this, can they? She whispered. I didn't know. My heart pounded as I stepped forward, blocking the crew's path. Get off my property, I said, voice steady but burning. Karen smirked, waving a permit. This is HOA land, Mr. Ellis. Your lease violates code. Step aside, or we'll call the sheriff. The crew leader, a grizzled man named Tom, hesitated, his hand hovering over the bulldozer's controls. I saw a flicker of doubt in his eye. She wasn't one of Karen's drones. You're tearing down a home, I said to him. A family's home. Karen snapped. Do your job, Tom, or you're fired. Her voice cracked like a whip, but Tom didn't move. The air was electric, every word a spark. Sophie ran inside, returning with Lila's old journal, its pages filled with sketches of the wildflowers. This is why we fight, she said, thrusting it toward Karen. My mom loved this place. You don't get to erase her. The crowd neighbors drawn by the noise murmured. Karen's composure faltered, but she doubled down. Sentimental nonsense won't change the rules, she barked. That's when the twist came. Tom, the crew leader, stepped off the bulldozer. I'm done, he said, tossing his helmet to the ground. My sister lost her home to an HOA like this. I won't be part of it. The crew froze, torn between loyalty and conscience. Karen's face reddened, her authority crumbling. Then came Emma, my lawyer, striding up with a manila envelope. You're served, she said, handing Karen a lawsuit. The HOA's permit was fraudulent, based on forged signatures and outdated bylaws. Emma had spent weeks digging through records, uncovering Karen's scheme to seize lakefront properties for a developer friend. The crowd gasped. Whispers turned to outrage. Karen stammered, "This is a mistake." But the neighbors weren't listening. They'd been bullied too, fined for birdhouses, harassed over fence colors. The standoff ended with the crew leaving, Tom leading the way. Karen fled, her clipboard abandoned in the dirt. I thought we'd won. Sophie hugged me, tears streaming, and the wildflowers swayed in the breeze, untouched. But victory was fleeting. The lawsuit drained my savings. The HOA, backed by deep pockets, countersued. Court dates stretched over months, each one chipping away at my resolve. Sophie stopped smiling. The Lakehouse felt like a battlefield. The final blow came in December. The judge, swayed by the HOA's high-priced lawyers, ruled against us. The wildflowers were deemed a nuisance, and I was ordered to pay damages. Worse, the Lakehouse was condemned, slated for demolition to make way for a luxury condo. Karen stood in court, her smile triumphant, as Sophie sobbed into my shoulder. I'd fought for Lila's memory, for our home, but money and power won. As we packed our belongings, Tom visited. He'd quit the demolition job and started a community group to reform HOAs. "You lit a spark," he said, handing me a petition with hundreds of signatures. It was a small comfort, but the Lakehouse was gone. The wildflowers were bulldozed, replaced by concrete. Sophie kept one pressed daisy in Lila's journal, a fragile reminder of what we'd lost. The bitterness lingers. Karen's HOA still rules Meadowview, her grip tighter than ever. I see her sometimes, driving her pristine SUV, untouched by consequences. But Tom's group grows, and Sophie started writing about our fight, her words raw and fierce. Maybe one day, justice will bloom like those wildflowers did. What do you think? Can one person's fight against a corrupt system ever truly win? Or is justice just a fleeting hope?